everyone, it's Jessica here, and this month Peartree turns 3, and we are celebrating with this happiness right here cut file, and everyone is free to use that file. You can grab it from the link below, and I am starting this layout off with some Boho Sunshine by Simple Stories, and I have chosen this pattern paper, which I'm actually cutting apart and only using the yellow and greenish sections of it. So I am slicing all of these little sections apart, and I am going to mat them here on this white textured cardstock by Colorbach. And I am actually changing the direction of these two bottom ones. I'm actually going to tilt them a little bit more. I'm distressing all of the edges with my close to my heart edge distresser. If you don't have one, there's a couple different companies that make them, but if you don't have one, you can also use the edge of your scissors. And I am just going to place those down using my ATG gun. And then again, just roughing up all of these edges on all 4 pieces here, placing these down, and then later on here, I will cut off those excess edges there. So I'm just going to place all these down. This one right here on these little points on this top section, I'm actually going to use my liquid Nuvo glue on the little points because mine is running out. As you can see, it's almost empty, so I have to keep messing with it to get it down to the bottom. Now, if you had one of the Peartree tools, we actually have a holder that holds it upside down like that. So if I had one of those, it would be a lot better and easier, and it would already be at the bottom, but I don't, so I just kind of have to fiddle with it. But I am just roughing up these edges, adding a little bit of that Nuvo glue on the points so they can stick down to my layout as well. And as you can see, I created a little notch in that piece and then just folded back the edges and used my tiny attacher stapler to just staple those little pieces down just for a little extra something on there. And I'm doing the same to this one then as well because I really liked it. So then I am going to bring in my cut file. I actually cut it 3 times. So the very first time I cut it, my blade got dragged up on there and it got hung up on a piece of my paper, and then it didn't finish cutting the outside edge, but that's fine because of what I want to do with it. So I'm gonna add some white splatters here to my layout so this can dry while I'm messing with the cut file. So I'm just adding some white Delusions ink, and I've just watered it down and applied with my paintbrush. And then I'm pulling out my Distress Oxides here in Evergreen Bough and Fossilized Amber. Those colors seem to match pretty good with that collection that I'm using and the pattern pieces that I've cut from that page. So I'm just using my blending brushes here to create an ombre effect between those 2 colors on my cut file that got messed up, but I have all the middles that cut just perfectly fine. So I am just going to create that beautiful ombre effect and splatter it with a little bit of water to create a marbling. When you put water to Distress Oxide, it reacts and creates that really beautiful texture, and I just love that. And then I'm adding just a little bit more with some of the white paint just to bring out some more of that marble effect. And I just dry it up really quick with my paper towel. So just cleaning off my glass mat here real quick, and then I'm going to work on the rest of the cut file and bring my page back over. I'm actually going to have a play here with where I want my photo and where I want my cut file. This is a photo of my son and my baby girl. I have actually 3 kids. I have an older son as well, but this is my younger 2. And he just adores holding her, and he loves taking pictures with her. So we were actually out at a farm event and visiting some vendors and things, and they had this cute little photo thing set up. So we sat on these little hay bales and got some photos. So I thought that was just so thoughtful of them to have that for us and for everyone, and just a cute little spot. So we snapped a few photos, and they were just having a blast. And I thought this cut file would just be perfect to document this. So I've cut the cut file out in this textured basil cardstock as well. It's a nice little bluish green shade. It kind of matches the bluish green shade that I already have, but it's a little bit lighter. And then I have pulled in all of my little ombre letters, but I'm only going to use this light blue shade for the middle word, which is right. And I'm just trimming this out around my edges here with my X-Acto knife and my cutting mat. So I thought about using the negative piece of that blue to kind of back behind my white, but then I opted out for that. I thought, that looks like a little bit much with the ombre going on. So I'm just going to glue the middle word down on top of my existing cut file here. so it shows up right on top. Again, I'm just pulling out my Nuvo glue for that, and I did pick it up with my tweezers because it's just so small and it has glue all over it. So I wanted to not get so messy today, I guess. I was trying to be a little bit clean about it, but just lining this up and placing that down. And then I'm going to actually glue that down to my layout in a little bit. Just kind of seeing how that looks and making sure that's exactly where I want to place it. And then I'm just pulling out my little embellishments here. I want to use a bunch of these little flowers. I think they're super cute and it just goes perfect with this. And that little quilt that they were sitting on had flowers all over it too. So it looks really cute. They were selling flowers at the event. It was all about flowers and just learning different things about agriculture. And it was a fun little event and we really enjoyed ourselves. So I'm pulling out a couple of butterflies I want to add to this as well, and just pulling out this sticker book. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know how much I love these little simple stories sticker books. They are just jam-packed with so many different embellishments and little tags and things that you can use, and I just absolutely love them. I didn't find too much that I wanted to pull in on this layout, but I do add a tag from it later. And then I decided I want to stuff a couple of these little flowers right in between these layers. So I'm just seeing which ones I want to add in between these top and bottom layers. And I end up cutting a couple of them apart just so that they look like they're peeking out. And I just love it. I think it's so cute. And then my photo is backed. I used one of the pattern papers from the small paper pad in the collection. Here I'm just pulling out some Shimmerz, inklingz. I'm trying to decide which color I want to do for splatters in my background to go along with the white that I already have going on. And I settled on, I think it's called Blue Lagoon. And I'm just going to splatter that like right down the middle of my page, kind of so it's peeking out behind my cut file. But it really dries so shimmery and pretty. I just love those little Shimmerz pots. So here I'm pulling out my little paper pad again. I'm going to grab this pretty blue floral and I'm just using my scissors. These are scissors that cut a whole bunch of times. Fringe scissors, that's what they're called. I couldn't think what they were called. So I'm just pulling those out to use and I've just cut a little strip and then I am just tucking a little strip in both of these sides just to give it a little extra layer behind my photo. And I'm just going to tape those down with my ATG gun. And then I am going to pop up one of these little flowers with some foam squares by Thermoweb. So I just use one of them on that one because it's a little one. And then I'm just going to make sure that's all dried up with my paper towel here. And then I'm going to start pulling in my cut file in here in a bit. And I'll pull in all of those little letters that go onto it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue down the cut file. So I've just used my Nuvo glue again, and then I'm going to pull out my T-square ruler just to make sure that this is all straight and lined up. I want to make sure that I have a good application, everything's lined up and straight because those letters are going to lay right on top, but I'm going to actually pop them up off the page with some shaker strips by Gina Designs. So they are some 3D foam tape. And that way it has a little bit more dimension. But I wanted to make sure my cut file and everything is nice and lined up and straight because when I put those letters down, I don't want anything to be crooked underneath there. So I'm just lining those flowers up again. I'm making sure everything is nice and lined up for my cut file. And then here are those shaker strips I'm pulling out. I'm just going to cut little strips down and place on all of my letters and just make sure they have a nice good coverage to pop them up off my page like that. I'm just going to show you a couple of these letters because I don't think you need to watch me placing down every single letter. It takes me a little bit of time, so I'm going to fast forward this here in a second. And there you can see I have all my letters down and they look so cute. I just love that ombre effect. It's so pretty and so easy to add a little something to your page without having to cut it out of pattern paper or anything. And it's a good way to use your inks and just have fun with it. So I'm just seeing what else I can add here. I want to add a couple of these cute little butterflies. I love this little yellow one, so I'm going to add it. I'm just gluing down my flowers here again with my Nuvo glue. I'm going to pop a couple of these smaller ones up again with my 3D foam squares. And then I'm going to actually pull out this stamp set by Close to My Heart. And I'm just stamping this little, it reminds me of like a little buzzy bee kind of stream, but I like to use them on butterflies or bees or whatever, and it's actually for kind of an airplane, but you know what? It works for this too and looks super cute. Then I want to put these little chevrons on here, but I decided I want to pop down some little phrases first, so I didn't want to put those chevrons on just yet because I want to leave space for my phrases. So here I just pulled off that little gold butterfly there with the top one there. I pulled that one off of the sticker sheet. And then here's the same sticker sheet I'm going to use for my little phrases. I'm going to pull those off of there too. And just making sure they're all straight and lined up along with my cut file. Nothing is too wonky on this layout besides my little paper strips that I cut, and my photo is skewed a little bit. I have trouble lining everything up just perfect. I have to have something crooked on my layouts. Seems like that's how it goes for me. So there I'm adding my little chevrons. I just love that. I used the evergreen bough distress oxide for that one. It's actually my favorite distress oxide color. And then I've decided to just pop those little border strips in there. I have those little border punches, and I thought it would look super cute on the top and bottom there. So I decided to just punch that a couple times, and I put some, I'm going to put some of the blue paper that I used for the fringe in behind it then. So I'm popping up these butterflies just in the middle so that I can kind of flare their little wings up a little bit. So they're only stuck down in the middle. And then here's that blue paper that I used for the fringe. I've just cut a strip out, cut it in half, and then placed it back behind those little border pieces that I trimmed out. I've added my date stamp there with some black archival ink and my Paige Evans date stamp. And I'm just looking to see what else I can add, and I decided to pull out these enamel dots from the collection and just pop those on. I don't know if I mentioned the collection name. It's Boho Sunshine. If I didn't mention it earlier, it's Simple Stories Boho Sunshine. That's the collection that I pulled out today. And then here I'm just adding a little tab on the left side of my photo that just says Onyx and Otto, which is my kids' names. So super cute. I'm just doing my journaling here at the very bottom, and then that's pretty much going to finish this one off. Super easy. You guys can play along with this challenge in the Peartree Cutfiles Facebook group and just pop your layout into the corresponding album. And I'm sure Marie will probably have some fabulous prizes for us as well. So thank you guys so much for watching and for helping us celebrate our birthday. So have a great day, guys. I hope I've inspired you to create something beautiful today. Bye-bye.